SpaceX had had spectacular failures before learning how to launch a rocket safely, each one ending in an amazing explosion. Some fell over gradually as the rocket landed unsteadily, while others were struck by objects at tremendous speeds and erupted into flames instantly. Here are 4 surprising SpaceX launches that were dreadful to watch. SpaceX gone wrong. Even though SpaceX's rocket boosters now routinely land safely on land and sea, SpaceX News shows that the company didn't always have such good luck. Many of the company's boosters were destroyed before they figured out how to land safely. Number 4. SpaceX Starship SN3 test failure. SpaceX's Boca Chica, Texas test facility is where the 3rd prototype of their next-generation Starship rocket disintegrated under strain. After being loaded with ultra-cold propellant, the test vehicle folded and eventually caved in on itself.
Unfortunate encounter.
Unfortunately, Starship SN3's second cryogenic pressure test did not go as smoothly as the first. The prototype tank of Starship SN3 exploded on April 2, 2020. Before its debut, SN3 had to prove that it could endure the tremendous pressure of very cold fuel. The company's flagship spaceship, Starship, was built to carry out heavy-lift deep space missions like colonizing Mars. The Starship SN4 rocket prototype was the site of another catastrophic Starship launch failure. On May 29, 2020, the rocket went up in flames after a test of the rocket's engines. In the next several minutes, you'll learn more about what went wrong on the Starship SN4. Musk announced in a tweet that SN3 had passed an ambient temperature test the night before. We will see what Data Review says in the morning, but this may have been a test configuration mistake. Musk said in a follow-up post, adding in another tweet, "Some valves leaked at cryotemp. Fixing and will retest soon." Number 3. Starship SN4 explosion. On May 29, 2020, the Starship SN4 rocket prototype built by SpaceX exploded while being tested in a facility close to Boca Chica, Texas. Starship SN4, SpaceX's next prototype, exploded in flames shortly after a rocket engine test on May 29, 2020. Moments after the spectacular failure, which occurred only a minute after a brief test of its Raptor rocket engine, it was unclear what had caused the explosion. After each explosion, Musk insisted that the company had learned something and would move forward anyway. While being put through its paces, this is not the first of SpaceX's Starship prototypes to meet a tragic end. Some earlier test vehicles also perished due to pressure testing. So that the final operating vehicles are extremely safe and reliable when called upon, space corporations conduct frequent testing and stress testing of vehicles during development. You probably didn't know this, but SpaceX has really experienced quite a few mishaps. More recent developments are happening in spacecraft, airships, and other forms of aerial transport. If you want to know what's occurring in the world of aerial technology, subscribe to this channel and turn on channel notifications. Still, the Starship SN4 prototype had the longest operational life and had the most extensive testing history of any Starship at the time. Before finally exploding, SN4 was put through 5 tests using a static fire engine. Number 2. SpaceX pops Starship SN7 tank on purpose. After the tragic demise of Starship SN4, SpaceX went on to create the SN5 and SN6 prototypes before going on to SN7, which was purposely doomed to fail. On June 12, 2020, at SpaceX's Boca Chica, Texas facility, the tank for the Starship SN7 prototype was put into position on its pressure test platform. On June 23, 2020, the Starship SN7 prototype tank blew during a pressure test, but this was an intentional failure. SN7 had completed another pressure test 1 week prior, which also ended in a leak. With its intended explosion, the second test was much more spectacular during a pressure test meant to push the stainless steel hardware to its breaking point. SpaceX has conducted multiple such tests. Test flights like these help improve Elon Musk's Starship, a 100-person spaceship under development to transport humans to Mars, the Moon, and other celestial bodies. In reality, SpaceX has built its success on a foundation of innumerable failures, beginning with the first Falcon 1, which crashed into a dead reef about 250 feet from the launch pad at T+41 seconds after liftoff. There's more to that story, so hold on tight. We're about to tell you. Number 1. Falcon 1, first flight. You should know that before this dreadful launch, multiple attempts to launch Falcon 1 were canceled due to technical difficulties. However, the rocket lifted off from the SpaceX launch site on Omelek Island in the Marshall Islands at 22:30 UTC on Saturday, March 24, 2006. Videos from the launch clearly show that the vehicle rocked back and forth after liftoff and then suddenly pitched over around T+26 seconds. T+41 seconds after liftoff, the rocket crashed into a dead reef about 250 feet from the launch pad. Reportedly, little to major damage occurred when the Falcon Sat-2 payload fell to the island after separating from the rocket. SpaceX first blamed a loose fuel line nut for the blaze. Later inspection by DARPA confirmed that the nut had been securely tightened, with its locking wire remaining in place, but that it had failed due to corrosion from ocean spray. SpaceX made significant modifications to the rocket's hardware and software to prevent a repeat of this failure, such as using stainless steel instead of aluminum, which is actually less expensive. However, the trade-off is being a little heavier in weight and increasing the number of computer checks performed before launching by a factor of 30. What do you call a fruit on a spaceship? Coconut. In the current iteration of the space race, humans have not yet been involved, but there have been many unsuccessful launches and landings. Today's engineers and scientists are avoiding the pitfalls of their Cold War forebears and instead working to lift humanity to new heights, both literally and figuratively. Like FCAS 6th generation, modern warships show no mercy. Check out our video FCAS 6th generation fighter. French new fighter jet ready to destroy in no time. This will shock you. Thanks for watching today's video, and we'll see you in our next.